Okay. Okay. I got on live early today for those of you watching the replay. I wanted to put the poll question in. I don't think that you can put the poll question in before the poll starts. I wish that you could. That would be better. But now, that's just the functionality of it. I was also testing the Q&A portion of it to see how that works. So at some point during the live, I will do a Q&A as well. It feels a little dark. I'm gonna wipe the screen off. Did that brighten anything up? Okay. It didn't. Let's see what this enhance button is going to do. Nope, that's just a retouch. All right. So, good morning. I am Dr. Donna. I believe that it is time to get started. Yes, it is 5:30. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Go ahead and vote on the poll. Yes, the orange shirt debut. Let's do this, is what it says. I can't flip it. So, ta-da! It is here. Answer the poll question. The poll question will be available throughout the entire live so we can get this party started. I am going to ask that you inhale and exhale 3 times just to get you ready, centered on learning how to use your brain. We are still talking about the biases that happen through cognitive bias. I started looking this up because I wanted to understand why people make poor decisions, and what has led me all the way to here is that we are now talking about the 7 types of cognitive bias. I have to be perfectly honest with you this morning. I did not want to do this bias today because of how people react and respond to it. But I have to do what is necessary because neurologically this is taking place for people. And so today is gender bias, tomorrow is ageism, and these are topics that send people in tizzies. Like, oh my God, this is a big thing, and how dare you, and all of that. And I'm not really into it to get into the politics of it all, and what do you feel about the trans community or any of that. It's not what I'm here to do. I am talking about the biases that exist based upon the physical aspects of people identifying with gender and why it's neurological and it's not physiological, and what happens to the brain and why you do it and what can you do to stop doing it because it's stopping you and others from being their best. So cognitive bias, again, let me put my glasses on so that I can read it. You're prone to systematic cognitive errors that bias how you process and interpret information. These biases also affect the type of judgment and the decisions that you make. That's cognitive bias. So because you have it, you are creating biases in your decision making, and those decisions may not work well for you. As a result, we're here for you to understand what those biases are and how you can stop them because they are in the way of you becoming your 100% complete best. So let's learn about them. Let's do something about them. I'm here to teach you how to use this amazing resource called your brain so that you can become your best. And by becoming your best, you're holding yourself personally accountable on the daily basis. So what is a gender bias? Gender bias refers to the tendency that you have to hold stereotypical or discriminating attitudes towards people based solely on their gender. This not only affects your ability to socialize in meaningful ways, but it can also lead to unequal opportunities and treatment for others. So I'm going to say that again. It is your tendency to hold stereotypical or discriminatory attitudes toward people based solely on their gender. And this affects your ability to socialize in meaningful ways, but it also can lead to unequal opportunities and treatment for others. So I have, yes, the official mental workout t-shirt. We are here. I will start with myself. I have experienced gender bias my entire life, and it started when I was in the 3rd grade. I was in the 3rd grade in the early 80s, and I played equations. And if you don't know what that is academic games. And so there are these math games, and they have equations and onsets and with and proof and some other games. So my specialty was equations. Now at 3rd grade, I was 8 years old. I went to Stewart Elementary School in Detroit on 14th and Glendale. Literally, I could look out my front door and see my elementary school. So it was in the cut. And Darian Mallett and Donald Hanks, we were the top students in the school. And for 3 years, we went to the state championship. And I was the only female on the team, and we went to the state championship, and it was in different parts. And the first year we lost by 3 points, the second year by 2 points, and the fifth grade by 1 point. So I thought, oh, I'm going to go to Longfellow Middle School, continue my academic games, and I'm going back and I'm going to beat these other people. I was the only girl on the team, and so there were biases way back then. Like, what are you doing here? How are you competing with these European Americans and all of these other things? And I knew it was there, but I wasn't old enough to process what was actually taking place. There was no STEAM back then. There was no STEM. It's like, what the hell is this little girl doing here, trying to play this math thing with these young men? Because you have to remember, in 1973, women could just start having their own bank accounts and their own credit cards and sign for property and all of that. So I'm 11 years into that new legislation, and so it didn't bode well for people. And I've kind of been a rebel since then. And so being a military police officer, and I tell this story often, when I was in high school in 12th grade, we used to have weight training. I would ask the football coach, "Hey, coach, put me in, coach, put me in." And he said, "No, girls can't play football." I'm like, "No, but I'm good. I'm telling you, I could knock some people out. I just came back from basic training. I could do this." And he just kept saying, "No, no, 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 you're a girl. You can't play." But finally, what the coach did, and he was an old head. I know he smoked probably a pack of Newports a day. So he had a belly and everything. He's had a little rough voice. And one day he came, he said, "Hey, Donna, get over there." I came over there. He's like, "Nah, you can't play. But I did put together this football camp so girls can learn how to play football and all that." So I couldn't go to the camp because I had other stuff to do, ROTC and things. But it was my way of saying, we need to be able to play these sports too. And so now you have flag football, you actually have football leagues in other countries, and that's one of the things that I've done. But I've always ended up being the only gender a lot because of my choice in careers. Only one in traffic, only one in manufacturing, in warehousing, sales ops, just a lot of different roles because you're the wrong gender. And so even when I was in the military and I wanted to go mechanized infantry, that was impossible at that time. Now you couldn't go to Ranger School, some other things that I wanted to do. Tackle and flag pro leagues in America too. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Nola. And so now things are changing, and she has a sports advising company, so that's why she has that information, and things are changing. Now, conversely, you have that on the other gender side, and I understand the trans and cisgender. I got all that. What I am talking about in general is roles that you aren't supposed to be in based upon the physicality of your gender specification. And the same thing happens with men. You don't if I say nurse right now, you're not thinking of a male nurse. That's not what's happening, not at all. Or you might be, because we're in 2025. The problem with that is you don't end up with the right person in the right position. And so as a result, because you're looking for this specific type, you're looking for that specific type. So what am I doing? Managing drivers in 2004 through 2002 through 2005. What am I doing in trucking? I had 120 drivers and only 2 of them were female. That's just not an industry that, and there are more now because there are more people in the world, but that's not what was taking place. There were times when I was in the Army and I went to the field and I was the only female in my platoon in the field because of how we had to work the road and things like that. And so I would be the only female in the tent. Now, I'm crazy as hell, so they weren't about to try shit because it would have been on and popping, but that's not the point. I shouldn't have been the only. Right now, because I help my daughter with her furniture assembly business, I don't have uniforms. Now, she's tiny, so she gets to wear little boys, teenager husky clothes because they have them for her, but they do not have them for my body style. So I end up looking like a camp counselor because they don't have clothes for me because there aren't enough women in this industry. So I just had to go to Old Navy and get some joggers, some like windbreaker joggers for when the weather breaks, because I literally had 3 pair of pants. And so for each season, because they aren't there, we had problems finding gloves. She's little, so finding knee pads. So when you are breaking it, didn't making and risk taking and entering into new industries that you're not a part of, now you have all of these other things that you have to contend with. And I mentioned the other day when we used to go into Lowe's and Home Depot, they were kind of looking at us like, what the hell are you doing here? Now she has enough confidence and enough leadership acumen where she goes in, tells them what she wants, has a conversation, they offer suggestions. But this is 4 years in the making. And it happens everywhere. It's like, oh, we go, I am in 2 very male dominated industries. I do handy person services, so mounting, furniture assembly, and face gender bias, but I am building the 12 feet metal sheds and mounting garage cabinets, also being in sports advising in male dominated industries. Yes. So we have shown up at appointments, but I am elite in both industries, 100%. We want absolutely. And so we have shown up at appointments and people are like, are you sure you're going to be able to do this? We've had women stand there and say this is man's work because their spouse will have hired us and now we show up and they're there. And it literally is, it exists. And so what are the signs that you have of gender bias? Making assumptions or judgments based on gender. So because I weigh 123, 125 in the winter, maybe 126, my daughter weighs 105, we show up and people say, well, let us know if you need help with the boxes. They ask her if she has tools, even though she says she has tools. And now she has over 2,000 projects, 1,000 5-star reviews. People will still ask her, do you need a measuring tape? Do you have scissors? Well, do you need a box cutter? And we've come in with backpacks and bags and everything else. And they will just naturally say, well, my husband can help you lift that upstairs if you want to. And then the husband is trying to help and he's actually an obstacle. And now she's lifting it and he's trying to turn it and figure out what's happening. And it just makes sense to come to the car to get me. Because, I mean, we've lifted I think the garage cabinets that we just did were 120 pounds. Finally entering year 4 with over 1,500 completed projects and with over 1,000 reviews for it to stop. And that's 1,500 on TaskRabbit, but the other hundreds are coming outside of it because she has her own website as well. So they're kind of stopping. But if the person that we're there with isn't the person, so last year, so she was 3 years in before people started questioning, even if they booked her. Well, you're smaller, you're younger. How old are you? When she first started, they were like, are you still in school? So making assumptions and judgments based upon gender. Now, I've had this happen to me a lot because I spent 5.5 years in the military, as well as almost 10 years in corporate America. And what happens is I had to keep reviewing my credentials as to why I'm here. And I still have to do it now because people, again, based upon beauty standards, are making wrong assumptions. The other thing is that you use gender specific language. So you say all men are mechanics and all women are nurses. And so you're doing that, and that doesn't help anyway either. And then also treating individually differently based upon their gender. So you will open a door for a woman and say, oh, let me help you with that. But if it's a man coming up to the door, you're like, yeah, you're on your own, bro. Figure that out. We ain't trying to do none of that at all. And so you have to stop doing these things. Why? Because people are people. People are people. And if you have a conversation, see first to understand. Now, I open doors for people, especially if I'm going in the store, their arms are filled. I don't really care who it is. If I can open the door, I'm gonna open the door for you. And hopefully people will start to do the same. So how do you overcome gender biases? You challenge your assumptions and stereotypes, and you use gender neutral language. So I open a lot of my videos with, hey there, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Dr. Donna. Time for your 60-second strategy. And I do say sir and ma'am, unless someone corrects me on that. And I've had this conversation with my daughter. My daughter is saying, Nola is saying, we also experience gender bias with my clients when wives say their husbands aren't handy. That's a gender bias because assuming that all males should be handy. Yes. And so they can't do anything. And so they're not handy at all. Because back in the day, yep, they used to have to build houses and everything, but you can't, even the people who used to be able to build things can't build this new stuff because everything comes in a box. You got to have special tools. So that happens as well. And if you go to a home and you think, oh, there's a wife and a husband, so the wife must be the cook. And definitely not in my house. My mother was a terrible cook. My stepfather could cook circles around her. So all of those things exist, and it's time for us to stop it because it's not boding well, and it's causing people to have to stay in a box. So challenge your assumption, stereotypes, and gender neutral language. I do say, ladies and gentlemen, as a term of respect. If someone has an issue with it, I can have a conversation with them. I'm not putting you in a box. It's a term of respect. There are always people at appointments that are younger than me. I will still say yes, ma'am, yes, sir. That's just because I'm Dr. Donna. If someone says I don't like that, okay, cool. Then I will say, what is it that you would like to be called? And I have no problem switching on a customized individual basis for that person. and believe individuals and listen to them about their experiences around gender bias and discrimination. So, what happens because of conformity bias? People don't believe that you have been discriminated against or a gender bias exists for you, because in their mind, that can't happen. But it does happen. And just like Nola just said, wives are like, my husband's not handy, she can't do that. That's what's actually taking place. And so I would like to say that I don't know if you noticed this, but I say things like parents, spouse, siblings, and things of that nature. Because a part of it is, if I say wife, and I was a wife, technically that's what's on there, but I started saying spouse because wife has a job description. This is what a wife is supposed to do. And in this age, when you have dual incomes, when you have same gender marriages, spouse. So I say I'm her mother because that's what my daughter, because that's what's on her birth certificate, but I say parent. And I used to say I'm her primary caregiver, because parent, when you say parent, now you have a different definition. But when you say mom, when you say dad, now there's this other definition and all these duties that are assigned to that role. When you say sibling, that's different than saying sister or brother. So when I say my sister, I kind of cringe because, but if I say I have an older sibling, that's a much more neutral term. So spouse, parent, things of that nature. I call my daughter my amazing offspring, because these names and these qualifications have put people in a position to say, oh, my older sister gets on my last nerve. But if you say my older sibling, now you can start to assess what's actually taking place and that you can heal from those existences. I'm going to open it up for open discussion now. And so the two questions that I'm asking are, do you have any gender biases, and have you experienced any gender biases? Now, I've given my examples. My daughter has given some of hers. And so I'm asking the other remaining people on the live, what are your experiences? Have you found yourself having it, or have you found yourself being on the receiving end of it? Let me do this for in my chair. Wonder what happens if I press this button. Nothing. Okay. They're protecting your privacy. And again, remember, if you're typing, just type ... so that I know that you're thinking. That's honest of you. And for me, Kevin, I always get nervous when I see a male cashier at a grocery store. I'm like, you about to mess this up. You about to mess this up. You are. Yes. And why do you feel that, Kevin? Because you don't think that she is competent enough. And Nola, you're saying men should make more money than their wives to show that they are head of the household, and they should always drive. And certain households, tasks men should do. I agree, Kevin. When I'm buying hardware at Lowe's and buying hardware and need to ask a question and see a woman, I'm like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Uh huh. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So, do you, in that instance, actually interact with the person, or do you not interact with the person? And I do have my take on that because of me being in male-dominated industries for the majority of my adult life. Here's how I see it while you all are talking. If we remove the gender bias, we will have the right people in the role. If we remove the gender bias, because what will happen is, if nothing else, and so what happens is people need jobs. And the jobs that are available are not always the job that the person wants. So what we have is a mismatch. And every now and then, about 2 or 3 times a year, I go on LinkedIn and I look for jobs. LinkedIn tells me, hey, these jobs match you. So they fit the description. And I will just go and I will just play around and apply for jobs. I do. I want to see how it turns out. I know they are thinking I don't have faith in them. And what I'm finding is that the work that needs to be done is that not the work that people want to do. And so people have to take care of themselves. And they end up taking positions that are available, but are not positions that they actually want to do. So that's number one from an employment perspective. People start businesses for economic development, and then there is this work that needs to be done. And usually the jobs that you're applying for are the jobs that nobody wants to do. The entrepreneur doesn't want to do it. So we're going to make other people do this work that sucks. So that's part of it. So initially, work sucks. Very few people have rewarding work that they do day in and day out. And that's on the part of the employer, corporation, the people in charge. So how do you create a value-added experience for everybody involved? And so when you make it so that organizations have value-added work, then the people that find value in that work will be the people in that position. And so if you take the gender bias out, like my daughter enjoys doing the things that she does, and people look at her and say, too many pieces, too many parts, not enough alcohol. And they will leave out of the room, come back, and it's together because that is a talent that she has. No one wants the task that I have of teaching 6.8 billion adults how to hold themselves personally accountable. But I don't want to put together furniture either. I don't want to open up the hood of a vehicle and start changing oil and taking engines out and dropping things down. And back in the day, you used to have a Cadillac converters on it for the vehicle. And then remember when the fuel injection system used to be in the back with the license plate and all that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to rotate somebody's tires. I don't want to clean somebody's carpet. But there are people who enjoy doing that. And as a result, because of the programming, we qualified this as men's work and we qualified that as women's work. And the reason why we did that was because the people that determined that that was the thing was so that they could be comfortable. Well, I was in the doctor's office the other day getting my blood drawn, and every person, there was one male person that was checking people in, and one male, he was a male nurse. Everybody else in there were women. He was the only one in the back. Once they call you back, the only one. And there was one male phlebotomist. Everybody else behind that was women. And so what happens is the gender, the majority gender, will make it so that that's the only people there because now they're comfortable. They can hoo-hoo and kiki. And now they don't want to be uncomfortable. And I know this because I was an MP, because I was in warehousing, because I was in traffic, and when I was here working with the Urban Chamber, I would definitely be the only woman in the room. Only woman sitting there going, okay, this is what we're getting ready to do. And I would definitely be voicing my concerns and opinions and strategies and everything else. And so it's a problem because we're not working together. We're not working together. And that's the issue, is collectively we have these biases that separate us. And why? It's so that people will know, if you're a man, here is the work that you need to be doing. Remember when there were no professional female referees in professional sports? Like, no, you're not going to be on the field. There weren't even commentators on the sideline. Like, no, that women can't talk about these things. And my mother and daughter are sports fanatics and advocates for it. And my daughter will, you fall asleep all the damn stats that she got in her head. I'm like, yeah, okay, who is that person? Who is that person? And so we have to stop this because we're not benefiting from it. Because the first thing we're like is this is man's work. This is woman's work. Take your ass in the kitchen. So we have my mother who puts garlic salt on every damn thing and makes everything nasty. She's not going to cook. And then my stepfather is going to go out and bring home, make the money. And while no, it's not going to work. It's the person who has the ability to do it. That's the person that needs to be doing the work. And it just makes everybody feel better. I'm comfortable. I'm so exhausted from the adult population seeking comfort instead of embracing change. Because let me tell you what happens when you keep seeking comfort. You keep fucking complaining. So shut the fuck up. If you're not going to do something about it, shut up. This whole notion of we can't find competent work, because you keep looking for the same type of person. That's why you can't find competent workers. That's why you can't build an effective team, because you want your team to look just like you. And the Perry in the land of the Perry the Peacock in the Land of the Penguins is a video that I watched when I was at Frito Lay about what difference does a difference make. I think it's still on YouTube. It's worth looking at because it's asinine. That's what it is. And everybody has admitted it. I've admitted it. I see a male cashier and I'm like, I don't think he can do his job. That's not going to work. But what other work was available? My cousin is 6'7". He looks like a small forward for basketball, and he plays football. And so now everybody's like, well, damn, but you're too thin. And you got all these other things, because it's even gender biases within genders. You playing the wrong sport. You're in the wrong field, man. You're supposed to be in the basketball court. What you doing over here playing football? But if the person is phenomenal at it, let the person be phenomenal at it. Why should we have to stop? I am hoo hardcore. I would have put camouflage on my teeth. Let's go battle rattle and do this, because that's what I wanted to do at the time. So this whole notion of we're going to keep you in your box because that makes us comfortable. So Nola and Kevin, the next time you see somebody that's doing an opposite gender job, have the conversation with them. What made you become a cashier? How long have you been working here? And just have the conversation. And the other thing is, you have that beginner's brain. So if someone is, I was in the military and then I went into food and beverage. I was a military police officer and I went into food and beverage. They ain't got nothing to do with each other at all. And so I needed my time to be a novice and have that beginner's brain. When I got to Frito Lay, I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to be a civilian or anything, but I ended up mastering all of that in less than 10 years. So we need to give people the opportunity to learn how to do something new. He is a great TE. I have played basketball with him, and he is a terrible basketball player. So see, so that's what I'm saying, do, is to get out of your gender bias comfort zone and go seek to understand, and then stop putting other people in it. Now, some people want to be considered that. And it's like people all the time. And I literally have people in my yearbook telling me I need to quit acting so masculine, and I need to get married and have some kids and don't go in the damn army. That's what people literally said in my yearbook. You too loud. You need to get you a man. You need to sit down. Why are you so abrasive? And all, literally in my yearbook as a going away statement to me. Because back then it was like, why are you trying to be a man? See, the problem is you're trying to be a man. That's why you ain't got no man, because you're trying to be a man. Don't no man want to be with no man. I had to hear that for a long time. Okay, well, but this is what I'm getting ready to do. So if they consider me masculine, or that she's so aggressive and she trying to be in charge, you just sit your ass down somewhere. I don't. I'm not going to. I'm not about to do that. It's not about to happen. And so that is the issue, is when will we just start seeing people for people? Because these biases are in the way. They are in the way. And I hate first female, the only female. I hate even using that as a disclaimer. Because why? Why do we have to put these qualifiers on these things, and we can't just say, this is what I did. This is what I did. This is who I am, and this is what I did. And I talked to my daughter about this, and I say, I bet you if I took everything that I did on LinkedIn, changed my name, and changed my photo, it would get a different reaction to everything that I did. If I did that, then you would say, yeah, I can see a man doing that. I can see a man doing, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh, yeah, and then, oh, we got a little sensitive side, too. Okay, cool. That's what it would be. But because it's me and because of who I am and what I look like, it doesn't match. It's like, why was you doing all that? Why was you doing too much? You doing too much. I'm not. I'm doing what I came here to do. And so people will call me aggressive instead of assertive. And I'm like, okay, but if you change my gender, I'm a badass. Look at that, man. Look at the code. I'm telling you, boy, just be working in here, coming in here, doing the damn thing. But now it's like, oh, so you're trying to invade my space. You're trying to take my thing. And I'm actually not. I'm not trying to take anybody's thing at all. That's not what's taking place. So the biases exist for people to be comfortable. That's what it is there for. People want to be comfortable. And comfort is only necessary if you have a saber-toothed tiger coming after you. You're sleeping, you're recovering from some type of illness, or you're on your way out. But this natural inclination to seek comfort, to make everybody stay in their place, it's not working anymore. It's not. There are over 6.8 billion adults in the world, and this isn't working for anybody anymore. And now it's like, well, let's go back to when it was working. In my opinion, it never worked. It never worked. It was just less people saying it's not working. And now, because of the internet, we can see that it's not working, but no one wants to do anything about it. So I'm telling you, the next time you find yourself having a gender bias, check yourself and go, hold up, wait a minute. And how you can do that is you can start using gender neutral terms. And now it's going to go away because your brain is wired. This is men's work, this is women's work, this is children's, this is who's supposed to be doing that job, and that person isn't doing that job, so they're not going to do a good job. And then you would be wrong. And sometimes you might be right. But what my daughter and I have found is that men independent contractors are messy as hell, they're loud as hell, they don't clean up, sometimes they don't do a good job, and still want full pay. We're literally looking like, you see all the drywall you just left on the floor? Are you kidding? And people tell us all the time, oh my God, we love you so much because you clean up and it's just everything is exactly how you want it. And every time they come in and it hasn't registered, and that's why my daughter is going to start working with independent contractors for them to have 5-star service, because they will come in with no trash bags. They might have a little vacuum, shop vac, and they're going to leave and demand payment and not finish the job and still want to be paid. So that's not good either. But because, and what we've experienced too, is that people will, my daughter's at the top in TaskRabbit, they'll pass her, hire somebody else, a male, and then call her. Now she's getting them. Well, see, I had another tasker come. What was his name? Who'd you have come? Because she's the only female in mounting. So you picked somebody else because you thought, oh, she's not going to be able to do this. Take lunch. They will take a lunch. We will go 8 hours with no lunch, and they will take a whole hour lunch and work slow. But because that's the industry standard. And then the other thing that we notice is that if my daughter has one faux pas, oh, see, this is why you shouldn't be doing men's work. But they would literally mess up the entire project, and people would just say, well, we just found another contractor. We just found another contractor. Okay, cool. You got another group coming in that are not trained. So let the biases go. Let the biases go. Let the biases go, because it's not going to help you grow. It is not. And so when you use the 74 principles of real leadership, it works for everybody. Be the best. Be the best. It says be the best. It doesn't say men be the best, women be the best, children be the best, cisgender, whatever, be the best, trans people be. It says be the best. Go above and beyond. Go above and beyond. Embrace diversity. These things don't have anything to do with gender at all. It's if you are adult and you get ready to do something, set and maintain high standards. Hold yourself and others personally accountable, because everything else is just a disqualifier. It really is. And it lessens everything that person is, because you want to put them into these categories. And I understand biologically, when you go to the doctor, I'm 51. And now these are things that are happening to your body, perimenopausal and all of these. We got to check for this. You got to get a colonoscopy. Those are biological things that need to be checked because I have a body. But after that, that's where it ends. After that. And now it goes down to, okay, what is your family history? Do you have a history of diabetes and all these other things? Okay, cool. Let's go start checking for that. That's what those qualifiers were for. But beyond that, everybody has the ability to go do what they came here to do, and these things stop you. They stop you from becoming your best. You can't come in this industry. You can't do this work. You can't do this. Why? If I'm going to be a bad mofo doing it, why can't I do it? You know how many times I sat in the room and said, well, no, we don't know. Okay, well, we're going to test you, but we're going to give you the worst platoon. We're going to give you the worst distribution center. We're going to give you the worst zone. So then if it doesn't work out, see, that's why you should never let a woman be a zom. You shouldn't let them. See, as African Americans, they don't know. You give them too much to do. You give them some money to count. They can't count. They're not good in math. So all of these things start showing up that are just not true. They are not true. My daughter and I get more done with less resources than people coming in teams. We have furnished full, complete houses in the time that it takes somebody to come renovate one room. We're waiting on them. Too many times we're like, oh, you can't come back because contractors aren't finished yet. Got to go in that room because contractors aren't finished yet. Got to go do this because no contractors like, here they come, getting in the way again. Oh, can you move your purse out the way? Oh, look at all, are you going to spray some perfume or something? No, they're looking at us like, who is this people? And we've had other contractors come and take work from us. Oh, we could do that part. Oh, no, we know how to do the blinds. No, you don't need them for that. We got that. We got that. And we've never done that. We've actually suggested other people. This is work we don't do, but we recommend these people on TaskRabbit. So my point in saying all of this is that gender bias is some bullshit. It's some programmable shit to make other people feel comfortable, and it limits the capabilities of other people. It's like, no, you can't break into this industry. I go back to when I was 8 years old playing academic games in the early 80s and being told, well, you're a girl. Now we're saying STEAM. Hell, I'm 51. Shouldn't we be saying STEAM and STEM by now? 4 decades later? Why? Give everybody the same opportunity. I always say level the playing field and let the winners win and the losers lose. But because of people's unaccountable people's big giant egos, their low self-esteem and their low confidence, they can't take it. They can't look at that person excel as something that they can't do, that in theory they should be able to do. I don't know why you think that. Go do the thing that you came here to do. That's what you can actually do. Go do what you came here to do. And let's take this stupid shit that you have no control over out of. And I know you can do gender reassignment. I got all of that. I'm still saying at the end of the day, you get what you get when you first get here. And what difference does a difference make? And if somebody is incompetent, I've checked all genders for not doing their job. And I've praised them for doing their job, and gender had nothing to do with it. It's like, you did a good job. I'm getting ready to give you a tip. You did a bad job, and let's go see management. In general, I don't care at wherever I am. And that's because of personal accountability. So when you start using the 74 principles of real leadership, you will find that all those things that unaccountable people have made a big damn deal about aren't a big deal, because it doesn't matter. We've had people who've had to sue contractors for messing up projects. Does it matter that they were male or female? No, because they couldn't use that part of their house. They couldn't. I mean, we have a client, he's a gamer. It took them 18 months to get work done on their house. And the people did not get a permit for their bedroom to open the wall and make doors. So they spent 3 months in the winter sleeping in a different part of the house because that part of the house was just open. Okay, at that point, they didn't really care what the gender was for the person doing the work. I can't sleep in my bedroom because I don't have a wall or doors. So it's things like that. So let's transition to the 74 principles of real leadership, because that is going to lead us to our best. That's what's going to get rid of all of these biases, because it works for everybody. Now, answer the poll question if you haven't answered the poll question, because I'm going to go ahead and click here in a moment for the results. I do have 6 votes up there. And then get ready for math if you want to gather a piece of paper and a writing utensil, because we're going to do math, do the word of the day, and then any closing remarks that anyone has. And then we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. So let me see the poll question in the poll. All right. So which one, it should have been do, I didn't have my glasses on. Which one do you value more? 50% said family, 50% said peace. For those of you who are still here that voted, go ahead and explain your answer. I'm valuing peace every time. I'm choosing peace. Anytime somebody say peace or peace. Now, when you go to peace or respect, you might give me, let me write that down, because I'm going to ask that question on TikTok poll question. Pins right here. So for me, it's always peace. My family never really gave me peace, so that was an easy answer for me. It is peace. 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 I'm gonna always choose peace. Always choose peace. Always choose peace. And I keep pressing the unlisted video because I don't know what portion of it, if it's doing it now or if it did it from the previous 5 minutes. So I'm about to find out. Yes, peace is personal. It is. Anyone else answering before I go to math? All right. I'm going to math now. So you're going to have 20 seconds to answer this math question. I'm going to say it twice, write it down, and then answer. Okay, the math question is this. 35 times 5 divided by 5 plus 5 minus 5. 35 times 5 divided by 5 plus 5 minus 5. 20 seconds on the clock starting now. Again, Nola, the math. 35 times 5 divided by 5 plus 5 minus 5. 12 seconds left. All right, and stop. What are your answers for 35 times 5 divided by 5 plus 5, excuse me, minus 5? And I will come back to your answer. What answer do you have for the math? And again, the reason why we have math every single day is so that you can continue to work on your working memory. Your working memory can process 6 to 7 things at the same time when you use it to your ability. And that's what the math is doing, is having you have several different things that you need to do. So multiply, divide, add, and subtract with different numbers in order for you to get to a solution. When you can do this consistently every day, it will help you with your task. It will help you with your problem solving. It will help you organize your day. It will help you task jump in the event that you need to do it. So by doing this every single day, you are actually enhancing and increasing your working memory. And the answer is 35. And the reason why I made the answer, the first part of it, is because sometimes you go throughout your day and you multiply things, you divide it, you add, and you subtract, but you can still end your day how you started your day, which is at the same energy that you started your day. So how you start it is how you finish it. The middle is just things that took place along the day. So you can have a peaceful morning, and then things can happen, and then you can end your night on peace. You can have a chaotic morning, and then you can have some things happen, add and divide and subtract, and now you're back at chaos. And sometimes that chaos may be because you're at home with some chaotic people. All right, the word of the day is pontificate. Pontificate, Pontificate, pontificate. And it was yesterday, before I do that, I realized that I said, after I watched the video again, yesterday's word was morass, not morose. It was morass. And I was having a moment. But today is pontificate, Pontificate. And now that I've said that, you have two choices. Is pontificate, which one means pontificate? Admonish or, give me, oh Lord, I can't read my, or praise. Admonish or praise. Admonish is Admonish. So which word means pontificate? Is it admonish or praise? Is this thing on? I wonder how much of a delay it is too. It is admonish. And so the meaning of pontificate is to speak in a pompous or dogmatic manner. Is to make you feel bad. That's what it's there for. Make you feel bad. So use the word of the day 5 or more times today. Have a conversation with people. And if you feel as though someone is pontificating on you, hold up. Don't be over here making me feel bad. Miss me with that nonsense. Unaccountable people are very good at pontificating. They like doing it because then they're in their amygdala state. They're seeking adrenaline and doggone dopamine boost. So they will do that. Okay, we are coming around third. So my question to you is, I'm gonna press this highlight button one more time to see what happened. Highlight saved to your channel, unlisted video. Okay. What did you learn today? What did you learn? And Nola Kevin does that because he got it wrong too. So he's saying we got it wrong. And it's not a matter of right or wrong. It literally is understanding. If I gave you more context clues, if I used it in a sentence, then you would be able to do it. But it really is just you. It's okay to make a mistake. That's what I'm basically saying, is that you don't have to know it, but now you do, because people, unaccountable people, don't want to make mistakes, and that's why they stay in their nice little fixed, fake ass bubble, because now they can look smarter than they are, better than they are, and there is no opportunity for them to grow and develop. And then they just sit in their decorated unaccountable zones. So what did you learn on today? He is pontificating you. There you go. Way to use the word right here, right now, in real time. Now, one thing I would like to say is I posted this on all of my social media platforms this morning. I did a video. Hey, we're talking about gender bias. And what I noticed is at my apprehension to doing it, I initially thought, oh, I'm going to have a bunch of people on here talking shit. And yeah, that didn't occur. So I think it's interesting that people did have an opinion. And I think it's because of how I approached the subject. I could be wrong. So for the visitors, if you are a visitor, I don't know, because they unlike TikTok, I can't see who you are until you comment, or your privacy is private. You didn't realize how much gender bias you had. I know. Isn't that interesting? And until it is brought to your attention, you don't even recognize that it's taking place. But no, because you went to Allen teens. If you spot it, you got it. So the more times you are engaging in it, you actually have it. But you can do something about it. You can wire the neural pathways of your brain to just start seeing people. Let me tell you how all this goes away. All of these biases go away. You use the 74 principles of real leadership. That's number one. But you just start seeing people as people. That's it. If you put people in two categories, you're either personally accountable or personally unaccountable. And now you start listening to what they do. Now you're going to say, oh, I know neurologically why you just made that decision. I know exactly what you're doing. Battle rattle is a real thing. At first, I thought it was just a Dr. Donna word. Did you look it up? A Dr. Donna's dictionary is a real thing. Got it. Did you learn anything else, Kevin, besides battle rattle? Pogey bait is a real word too. I used to have pogey bait when we were out in the field. So when you start to actually just see people as people, then you're going to be able to accomplish so much more. Yep, you did. Got it. So you're going to be able to accomplish so much more. My daughter had that issue because I always say people, used to really say it a lot, the sticky road to rutness. And so she thought it was an actual word, came home, told me, you made up another word. That ain't no word. So yeah, I will put 2 to 3 words together. And that's part of the reason why I wanted a doctorate, because I used to tell people, the reason why I'm going to get my doctorate is because when you have a doctorate, you can make up your words, and can't nobody tell you that that's not a word because you have the ability to make them up. So that's why I have Dr. Donna's dictionary, so I can put like Galaxphere, Hugh Normic, Fluffaluffagus. I just posted that, reposted it from many years ago. So that's the person who always want to fluff themselves up on social media, but it's just all fluff and puff and nothing real, and they ain't tough either. So yes, when you hold yourself personally accountable to become your best, you are going to start seeing people for who they actually are, instead of this representative stuff, these biases. I got on a suit, or I got on some pajamas and a bonnet, I'm disheveled, so that must mean I'm not taking care of myself. All of those things actually go away, and you just start seeing people. Spouse and wife is the same person, but the duties are, yes, they are very received differently. So if you say this is my spouse, that's different. If you say these are my parents instead of this is my mom and dad, or my mom and mom, or my dad and dad. If you say these are my siblings, that's my older sibling, that's my younger sibling, that's my middle siblings. It changes the dynamic, and it takes away all of those things that they mean, because now you're just a sibling, and you're a parent, you're a spouse, my significant other, my partner. Now the brain has to process that differently. But you say, if that's my wife, oh, I know exactly. There go my husband over there. Look at him, just breathing. Then that changes. Look at it, just now you know. And those are gender in theory specific. But now you just say the spouse, my amazing offspring. Now that's different, because that's actually true. So the whole thing is to stop it with any bias. Check your bias. Check your bias. Check your bias. and ask yourself, where did it come from? Is this my own personal bias, or is this something that was handed down to me along with all my other generational curses? And you can do something about it, because we're not going to change as a human population until we start changing as individuals. It's not going to work. This whole notion of I'm pointing my finger at you, you don't want to need to change, you don't want to need to change. And my daughter and I actually had this conversation this morning. Everybody's bias wants everybody else's bias to change. So I don't want to walk in an auto shop and see a woman there. So no women should be in an auto shop because it makes me uncomfortable. No women should be in Lowe's because it makes me uncomfortable. No men should be cashiers because it makes me uncomfortable. So fuck your comfort. Who cares about your comfort? If that person is doing a good job, let that person do a good job and stop it. Because that's what it's saying. You need to change your bias, but I'm not going to change mine. You need to change your bias. Your bias is wrong. My bias is correct. No, they're all wrong. They're all wrong because it stops you from seeing people as another human being. COVID happened. We all had to go to the house. Didn't matter where we were placed in society. Everybody's equal because everybody could have caught it and everybody could have not been here. That's what it showed everybody. And then as soon as it was over, everybody went back to their biases and got right back into their nice little comfort zones and their little cliques and all of that. And they stayed in those systems. And that's why 4 years later, here we are back where we were from before. That's what's taking place. Start seeing other people as human beings and stop giving other people credit because of your bias for them. Stop saying, oh my goodness, that person is a megastar. No, they're just a human being. They're a human being. They have the same bodily functions as you and all of that. Now, could they be physically fit and do more in this area? Yeah, but they might not be able to count to 100. So there you have it. So start seeing people as people. That's what personal accountability says. When you go to the website, you look at the 74 principles of real leadership, you will see that they are not gender specific. They have nothing to do with class, education, socioeconomic status, none of that at all. Here is how you treat other human beings. This is what you do. And then from there, you get what you get. And you have this different experience because you took all your biases off. You took your rose colored glasses off and you got to see people for who they were. How many times have you met someone, might have dated them, might have married them, and they are not the person that you thought that they were. And now you're like, ugh, this is all bad. Or man, they were so much better. But if you had just saw the person as a person first, and then started gathering data, you would have known that they were a liar. You would have known that they were a compassionate person, that they would give you the shirt off their back, or they would never sacrifice themselves for anything for you. You would have, if you had just taken the time to find out who they were, but then that will require you to ask questions. That will require you to listen. That will require you to embrace diversity. That would require you to take a risk and actually sit down and connect with another human being on a level that's beyond what you physically see, and that isn't part of your bias. That's what it is. So yes, I think we have 2 more or 3 more biases left. I got to check. But this conversation is necessary and it needs to be on my YouTube channel so that I can share it with other people, because everybody has it. And then for you to act like you don't, you're not being honest. Be honest is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And when you know better, you can do better. So none of you thought I'm biased about any of these topics, and beauty bias yesterday, or even the conformity bias. You're thinking peer pressure to make me do some stuff I would never do, but it's there. So now as you make decisions going forward, you're not going to make these poor choices because of your bias. You're going to be objective. It's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. You're going to be objective when you make your decisions, so that you are making the best decision for the best case scenario instead of something that works best for your immediate gratification and your comfort zone. How many times have you made a decision for now that fucked up for future? How many times has that happened? You made this decision. I'm making this decision right now. And then you're like, ooh, I should go back in time and not make that decision. I think it was Robert Harris that said, I wear my wedding ring on the wrong hand because I married the wrong damn woman. How many times have you made a quick decision based upon your bias, snap, knee-jerk thing, and now it's taking you days, weeks, months, years to recover from that very biased decision? So stop doing it. Stop doing it. Stop. And start holding yourself personally accountable. Become your best. My daughter and I talk about this almost every day when we get home. When you are holding yourself personally accountable, be your best, guess what you don't have time to do? Go mess with somebody else. Go judge somebody else's actions. Because you've been best all day. So you just want to come home, chill, have a meal, relax, get a good night's rest, and look at best and go seek best again. That's what you actually want to do. But when you got a depleted working memory, you're in your comfort zone, you're not changing, you're not growing, you're not developing, you're not reading, you ain't got nothing but time to sit and eat and judge and finger point and all of that in the comforts of your comfort zone. That's what's happening. That's what's taking place all over the world. So check yourself today as you hear people talking on social media and about going out and about. If you leave your home today, listen to people's biases. The conversations that they're having is going to be, I'm right, and what I'm saying and what I believe is correct, and what everybody else is doing is wrong. And if it comes over here and impacts my comfort zone, we're going to have a problem. I don't want your stuff over here. I just want my stuff. Now, what I can do is force you, conformity bias, for you to think like me, because now I feel better that you're thinking like me. So now we're all going to do the same thing. How many times have you been somewhere and said, man, I wish somebody would make, when they gonna make? How come we don't have? We don't have it because of conformity bias, because the people that could have made that thing that you want us to have is over here being like you. So that's why we don't have cures for cancer. That's why we don't have cures for alopecia right now, to stop it before it starts, because it's a million people trying to play football instead of going and doing real research and development. How come we don't have another person on the face of the planet Earth talking about how to use this? Where is the brain manual? We got a manual for everything else that we need in the world, but we don't have a manual to use our brain. Because why? Because conformity bias. Nope. Wait, what you do in neuroscience? No, we need more people working on mental illness. Why would you want to concern yourself with people just using the brain? They're regular. No one cares about that. We care about old people and child development and mental illness. That's it. No, forget the rest of the population. They know how to use their brain. They get up every day, go to work. What you talking about? Use it. They're using it to become your best. To become your best? Absolutely not. There isn't a manual for it because of conformity bias. So don't sit somewhere and say, when are they? When are you? When are you going to create something? What have you developed from scratch and built up? Because that's what we all came here to do. We all have a personal legend that we need to pursue before we get out of here. But have you done it, or have you spent your life building someone else's personal legend and then taking partial credit for it and saying, look what we built, but I sure wish we had, and you're not going to risk peer ridicule to go off and do that thing. And so we have a lot of what we don't need, a bunch of what we want, and a little bit of what we actually do need. That's what happens. So that song, what the world needs now is love, sweet. No. What the world needs now is adults holding themselves personally accountable to create new neural pathways to best, so we get rid of all these stupid biases and we can start respecting each other as individual human beings walking the face of the planet Earth, just waking up and attempting to do our best. Now, are there people who don't want to wake up and do their best? Yes, there are. And why is that? Because their brain is wired to not do that. But the brain is plastic, and so you can still wire the neural pathways to best. You have the ability to do it. If you can, and I have the video sin tax and win tax. So if you can get up and sin every day, you can get up and win every day. Same energy, just shift the objective. It is possible. So I do thank you for your time today and coming over here. And I'm saying thank you for your time, because you could have spent it somewhere else. I'm also saying thank you for being an open, willing participant in this thing that we call personal accountability, to learn and grow so that you can take this information back to the communities in which you reside, so that you can start to have the conversation about biases. You can say, I was talking about gender bias today. Here's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? Communicate effectively is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And the one thing that I liked about college is that we would sit down and it's not the day room, but downstairs in the common areas or the eateries or somewhere, and we would just have conversations. We'd have conversations about things that were taking place. And then everybody got their degrees, had their life, and then you don't have those conversations anymore. Now you're complaining about dumb shit and not really trying to change the world anymore. I'm saying go back to that concept of where you sit down as a collective and really hold people personally accountable and say, listen, we can't keep having these biases. We can't keep operating like this because this is not our best. We need to challenge ourselves to grow. We need to read more. We need to take risks. We need to get organized and stay organized, eliminate the clutter, hold ourselves and each other personally accountable for best. those conversations are not being had. Let this video, if you're watching it on replay or if you're here now, let this be the start of something new, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And we've been doing the same stupid human shit for thousands of years. And it's time for us to have a quantum leap, then make a risk take and do something else. Okay, so go have these conversations. Start holding yourself personally accountable. If you want to enter a challenge, go to my website, turnarounddoctor.com. There are challenges available for you. You're brand new, so my recommendation is a personal accountability challenge or the Real Leader resources. Neurologically, you're not ready for nothing else. Don't. I had somebody the other day try to sign up for RO 365. I was like, trust me, you are not. Your brain is not ready for that. Those are the two that are available for you. Go off and have an amazing day. Have these conversations. Hold people personally accountable. Get your 15 minutes or more in time with yourself, because the relationship that you have with yourself is the most valuable, important relationship that you will ever have as long as you are here on earth. With that being said, I will be back tomorrow, God willing, higher power in the universe, with one of my other t-shirts. And I will be ready to talk about aging as a bias. Okay? You all go off and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.